Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. We got to talk about how James Gunn just completely bound the biggest theory in the Marvel Universe, so I'll explain what's going on, but because these are post-credits, just careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the movie yet. They even had one of the biggest things on par with Nick Fury showing up to tell Tony Stark about the Avengers at the end of the first Iron Man movie. And there is a ticket giveaway going on right now, so even if you've already seen it, be sure to go see it again. It's one of those movies that's really good for repeat viewing, especially catching stuff that you missed the first time. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. So, starting with the first post-credit scene. Kraglin has an accident playing with Yondu's fin in the Arrow. It was a great comedy. I love Sean Gunn in the film. I don't think this means that he's going to be the new Yondu, but I do think that he will be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 playing with the fin. They might bring that joke back. The next post-credit scene is probably one of the biggest on par with the Adam Warlock one. So it's the original Guardians of the Galaxy. So we obviously know that Sylvester Stallone was playing Starhawk now. He's the one that teases the idea that there are 100 different Ravager factions that all have their different goals, but there's a code that they live by, and that's why Yondu was exiled. So, what they're teasing here is that there was the original Guardians of the Galaxy team from the comics, which were called the Guardians 3000, that existed a long time ago, because you have to assume that Starhawk is in his late 50s, early 60s. They had all kinds of crazy adventures. Then Yondu, like he narrates during the movie, was an asshole, was selfish, and made the deal with Peter Quill's father, Ego the Living Planet, started trafficking in children. Then he was exiled and formed his own band of Ravagers that were sort of on the outs from the larger community. So if you were confused about the argument that they had on the Ravager planet, we'll call it the Howard the Duck planet, just because that was a great Easter egg too, then that was what was happening with their dialogue. He was teasing the explanation for their history, why he hated Yondu so much, why he was an outsider, and it was sort of meant to create the framework to give you an understanding of what's happened in the past of the galaxy. Like, there's all these stories that have happened. We've only met the new Guardians.
A shame that it took the tragedy of losing Yondu to bring us all together again. But I think he'd be proud knowing that we're back as a team. I'm in. Dope.
I miss you guys so much!
Hell yes.
What say we steal some shit?
So at the end of the movie, after they find out that Yondu sacrificed himself to save Peter Quill, they have that big Ravager funeral. They reunite because you see them in the different ships. So the original Guardians team is Sylvester Stallone as Starhawk, Ving Rhames is Charlie 27, Michelle Yeoh as Alita Orgord, Starhawk's wife, Kruger, Michael Rosenbaum as Martinex, so that was who he was playing if you were wondering, and then Miley Cyrus is Mainframe. If you couldn't tell, she was the voice of that robot head. He's more of an AI consciousness than an actual robot. But he narrates that it's wonderful that they're all together again. It's sad that the death of our friend is what it took for us to come back together, because it implies that they had this big breakup and they all went their separate ways a long time ago. But then he suggests that they get back together, and how about we go steal some shit? So a lot of people were wondering, what does this mean? Because James Gunn said that that team would actually pop back up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, not necessarily in Guardians 3, so they might pop up in the next Infinity War movie, just somewhere in the cosmic universe, because James Gunn is planning the next 10 years of Marvel cosmic films, so we're going to see a whole bunch more Marvel movies set in outer space, and they could pop up in any of those movies. But when he was saying, let's go steal some shit, he was just making an offhanded remark, let's go steal some shit. It was intended to be more of a joke. It's not like they're going to go steal an Infinity Stone or something like that. But the next big one, obviously an earth-shattering post-credit scene if there ever was one, the creation of Adam Warlock. So Ayesha and the Sovereign, as of the end of Guardians 2, are now at the top of the list of Guardians enemies next to Thanos. So Thanos, Sovereign, then the Kree. The Kree still hate the crap out of him. There's bounties on all their heads. So all she really says is that she's creating Adam Warlock in a brand new type of cocoon, so he's going to be more beautiful, more powerful, more terrible, and more capable of destroying the Guardians of the Galaxy. Originally, when he was created in the comics, it was by a group of humans on Earth called the Enclave. He was intended to be this space Jesus, and then became more of a cosmic character as sort of like an opposite to Thanos. So Thanos was always the villain. Adam Warlock became the force to balance that out. Eventually, they fought, and he learned about the Soul Gems, and Adam Warlock took possession of them from Thanos, and he got trapped inside the Soul Gem, but then was rescued by the Silver Surfer. Then during the Infinity War arc, he basically became the lead person of all Earth's heroes trying to stop Thanos from destroying the universe. So he's a huge cosmic character. They're already in the middle of shooting the first Infinity War film, so if he's going to make it into any of those Thanos stories, it's going to have to be the fourth Avengers film, which doesn't shoot till later this year. They could totally do that if they want, but it sounds like he's going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy 3 main character, and he'll start out as an antagonist, but even though they change a lot of things about comic book backstories, he probably won't have an Infinity Stone, but by the end of this story, he will be on better terms with the Guardians, because he's sort of like a neutral figure. He can be really bad and he can be really good. He has the split part of his personality that becomes the mages, that becomes a big thing. I'm not expecting them to do that. In the name of simplicity, I'm just expecting him to come out of that cocoon, listen to the Sovereign explain why they hate the Guardians so much, so he thinks they're villains, goes after them, but then through the course of their adventures learns that they're not so bad, and then sort of frees himself from the will of the Sovereign and becomes his own person. Because as a race, it's implied that they have a very strict caste structure. Their roles in their society are very predefined. Each person is created to serve a specific function in a very perfect organism that serves as their society. So it's almost like free will doesn't exist, but there were a lot of funny moments during the movie, like when that Sovereign was laughing at Taserface's name. That was a big runner joke in the movie. Why'd you name yourself Taserface? That's the dumbest name ever. But Adam Warlock is now part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They can do whatever they want to with him, but just expect him to show up during Guardians 3. The next big one is Teenage Groot. Thank God that they're not going to do Baby Groot forever. I loved him in the movie. He totally worked, but Baby Groot is one of those really cute things that could get old really fast. So now that he's Teenage Groot, it's a lot easier to tell that Vin Diesel is still doing the voice. He did the voice for Baby Groot, but they just processed it differently after he read all those lines. But Guardians 2 takes place 2 months after Guardians 1. The next time we see the Guardians during Infinity War will be 4 years after that. So presumably Groot will be full grown. And the other thing they tease in this is that just like Han Solo Chewbacca, Peter Quill can now understand everything that Groot is saying. Then, the last big one, the Stan Lee cameo that unifies all Stan Lee cameos. So there was a theory a long time ago that people came up with, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Stan Lee were the same character in all these Marvel cameos that he does? But what's happening here is that the credits for the movie referred to him as the agent of the Watchers, so he's not a Watcher himself, he just works for them and goes down on Earth and observes all these big events and then communicates them back to the Watchers. So if you include this movie, Stan Lee has had 33 separate cameos in Marvel movies. Now that includes all the Fox stuff, that includes some TV stuff too, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and you have to remember that there's Spider-Man Homecoming, he's going to have a cameo in that, there's Thor, another cameo, and then Bryan Singer confirmed that the X-Men TV series he's working on will have a Stan Lee cameo as well. So the list is growing, then you have all the Marvel stuff next year like Infinity War. There's going to be crazy Stan Lee cameos. I think he can get that number up to 50. He still seems pretty healthy even though he's doing less and less public events. But the very first cameo that he ever did in any Marvel movie was during X-Men in 2000. He was a hot dog vendor. So what I might do later this year is just a montage of every single Stan Lee cameo. That'd probably be a pretty long video. But let me know in the comments, what was your favorite post-credit scene? There were a lot of other things that happened during the post-credits that are Easter eggs that I'll talk about when I post that video. So that'll be later this weekend just to give people more of a chance to go see the movie. So hopefully that explains everything that happened. Most of people's questions were just about that Sylvester Stallone cameo, the original Guardians team, and what their role is going to be in the future. And then all the Adam Warlock stuff, just because he's such a big character in the stories that Marvel's getting ready to do next year with the Infinity War. Big stuff though, later this weekend there's going to be a new Spider-Man Homecoming trailer. That's not going to post till Sunday, but just heads up that I'll do a video for that. There'll be a lot of Spider-Man. And leave all your requests for Marvel videos in the comments below. But if you're wondering about the Thor Ragnarok connection, because yes, the Grand Master does show up dancing in the post-credit scenes, that's the only real connection to Thor Ragnarok. But there's a lot of stuff that shows up in those credit sequences that are Easter eggs that I'll talk about when I post that Easter egg video. But congratulations to Peter Parker, you're the latest giveaway winner. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. There was a new round in this video. I'll just announce the winner the next time I post a Marvel video. While you wait for that, you can click here to rewatch the Defenders trailer, and you can click here for the new Marvel Inhumans trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.